grew up in a house that always sounded different at night. During the day, it felt old but normal. The floors creaked, the pipes rattled, and the windows shook whenever a strong wind hit the side of the house. It was the kind of place where random noises became part of daily life after a while. But at night, everything sounded closer. The house sat at the end of a long gravel road, surrounded by trees. There weren't many neighbors nearby, and after dark, the silence outside became almost overwhelming. Sometimes you could stand on the back porch and hear absolutely nothing for minutes straight. It was just me, my mom, and our dog Bailey living there. My mom worked overnight shifts at a nursing home almost an hour away from the house, which meant I spent most nights alone there after I turned 17. Bailey was old by then, a black lab with cloudy eyes and stiff legs that clicked softly against the hardwood floors whenever he walked around at night. At first, I loved being alone. I'd stay awake until 3 in the morning, playing games downstairs or watching movies with all the lights off. Sometimes friends would come over on weekends. The house didn't bother me back then, until Bailey started reacting to things. The first time was late one night in November. I was in the kitchen heating leftovers when I noticed Bailey standing near the hallway, staring toward the upstairs staircase, not moving, just staring. I remember laughing and saying, "What are you looking at?" He didn't even turn toward me. His ears were raised slightly and his tail was completely stiff. I slowly walked closer to the stairs and looked upstairs. Everything was dark. Then I heard it. 3 soft knocks coming from somewhere upstairs. I froze. At first, I honestly thought it came from outside. Maybe tree branches or pipes in the walls. But Bailey quietly backed away from the stairs. That immediately put me on edge. He never acted like that. I turned on the upstairs hallway light and slowly walked halfway up the stairs. The hallway looked empty, but something felt wrong immediately. At the very end of the hallway was the bathroom door, closed. I always left it open because the latch barely worked. I stared at it for a few seconds before hearing the sound again. This time from inside the bathroom. 3 slow knocks. I remember my stomach tightening instantly. I stood there listening, trying to convince myself there had to be a normal explanation. Then Bailey let out a low growl behind me. That was enough. I slowly walked upstairs and carefully opened the bathroom door. Nothing. Empty bathroom. Window locked. Shower curtain open. No one there. I checked anyway, feeling stupid while my heart pounded in my chest. Eventually, I convinced myself it was old pipes, or the heater turning on. But Bailey stayed near the bottom of the stairs all night, staring upward. A few nights later, it happened again. Same knocking, different room. I was lying on the couch watching videos when Bailey suddenly lifted his head toward the ceiling. A second later, the knocking started again, this time from my mom's bedroom. Bailey stood up immediately and started growling quietly. I muted the TV and listened carefully. Silence. Then I heard something upstairs. Not knocking. Movement. Slow footsteps crossing the floor above me. I slowly walked toward the stairs while Bailey followed close behind me. Halfway up the stairs, Bailey suddenly stopped. He refused to move further. I remember looking back at him and feeling genuinely nervous for the first time. I reached my mom's bedroom door and pushed it open. The room was empty. But something felt strange immediately. The rocking chair near the window was moving slightly, very slightly, like someone had just stood up from it moments earlier. I stared at it for several seconds. Then Bailey barked downstairs, loud, panicked. I rushed back into the hallway and looked downstairs toward him. He was staring directly at the wall beneath the staircase. Then the knocking started again. But this time, it wasn't upstairs. It came from inside the wall. 3 slow knocks directly beneath the stairs. I didn't sleep much after that. Over the next week, the house started feeling different. Not haunted exactly. Occupied. Like someone else was living there quietly alongside us. I started keeping lights on at night. Bailey stopped sleeping in the hallway and started sleeping directly outside my bedroom door. One night, I finally told my mom everything. Every sound, every knock, the footsteps. She listened quietly while taking off her work shoes near the kitchen. Then she smiled slightly and said, "It's an old house. Old houses make noises." But something about the way she said it bothered me. She wouldn't look directly at me anymore. And when I mentioned the knocking coming from inside the wall, her expression changed for just a second. Very small, but noticeable. Like she recognized it. After that conversation, things got worse. Almost every night, Bailey would suddenly wake up staring toward the hallway. Sometimes I'd hear footsteps upstairs while lying in bed. Once, I woke up around 2 in the morning and heard knocking directly outside my bedroom door. 3 slow knocks. I sat frozen in bed staring at the door while Bailey quietly growled beside me. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved afterward. Just silence. The next morning, I asked my mom if she came home during the night. She stopped pouring coffee and looked at me strangely. "No," she said quietly. Then she immediately changed the subject. That same week, she started talking about moving. At first, she made excuses about wanting a smaller place closer to work. But I could tell something was off. She suddenly wanted the house sold fast. Too fast. And for the first time in years, she started locking her bedroom door at night. A few weeks later, we moved into a small rental house closer to her job. She never talked about the old house again. Not once. And I stopped bringing it up too. But sometimes I still think about the way Bailey reacted to those sounds, because dogs don't pretend. Even years later, I still wake up sometimes expecting to hear those same 3 knocks somewhere in the dark. Slow, soft, waiting.